last 10 years, Dan, because I can't tell you a last time we did stuff like this, if I'm honest.
Yeah, this is the best transfer window I can remember in a long time. I
A
mean,
long time.
yeah, long time. I don't think I can't think back to one where I was like, wow. So this is the best for me, and I would give it a 7.5. To make that an 8, 9, or 10, we'd have to get rid of the Deadwood, and we'd have to put Saka and Saliba on their contract like renewals, and we'd
Good
have
point.
to go and get a marquee signing like Rodrigo. That would make it a 9 or a 10 for me. I can't give it nines at the moment when we've got Fabio Vieira, Lokonga, Zinchenko, and these men still here. That's you know transfers are about ins and outs, right? So when you look at the outs, we've still got work to do, but there's still time. It's not like the window's shutting tomorrow. I think we've got 9-10 days. So in that time, I expect some of these names to be leaving. Fabio Vieira, I expect to go. Lokonga, I expect to see some of the others out as well. So I think if he does that, he gets Saka and Saliba signed up long term, which is rumours to be fairly close if you believe the rumours. And then I just want one more. And I think that last one, if it blows everything out the water, I think everyone will be giving it nines. Because if we was to be able to get a proper left winger on top of what we've already done, I think we're covered in all areas, man. I don't think there's any excuses then.
It's a techie one, Dan, because on one hand, yeah, I don't feel it's a 10 out of 10 window, but in terms of competencies, I can't sit here and say I've seen too many times we've made 6 or 7 signings. My thoughts, because I said on your platform, on one hand, I give the club credit where due for addressing these areas, but then on the other hand, you had last summer to do this, you had January to do this. So while I'd still applaud you, you've given yourself no leg to stand on. Like you mentioned, left wing and striker. In previous years, we could get away with maybe doing one of the two, but because you haven't done what's needed to be done, if you really want to give us goosebumps and get over the line and all the buzzwords that people have come out with, I think you need to do these things. And then I look at it in isolation. I feel we've got 3 game changers or level raisers. I've said my thoughts on Zubimendi. I think he's one. I don't think anyone can doubt Gyökeres is one. And obviously Eze, we'll get onto him, Eze specifically in a bit, but I feel those 3. And then you've married all the other areas. But then you've made a great point, and I know there's still a long way to go and things. Outgoings, like we still haven't got anyone of significance gone. I know there's some like isolated cases, like for all the rumors with Jesus, no one's gonna buy him when he ain't kicked a ball and he's injured and things like that. A couple other men have injuries and whatnot. So yeah, I do think it's hinging on outgoings. And then I want to ask you this, because I think it's a weird one where the papers are concerned, because we were led to believe, you cover the Arsenal news, it's all sell to buy and PSR and apparently Champions League PSR. And, we're not going to bring someone in if it isn't for Martinelli or Trossard leaving. And then, we've just come with this Eze stuff and it's accelerating quickly. So it's like, what's said in the papers and what's going on in reality? Like, do you find it a bit weird? Do you think Arsenal really, for when they tell us about FFP and we've got no money, is it a case of they can do it, they just don't do it for you? Because we just spent 60 odd million on Eze without any outgoings of significance.
So there's 2 things to that, right? First of all, I'm not saying David Ornstein, Romano, and Ben Jacobs know less than me. I ain't got a Scooby what's happening, right? As we saw in the last 24 hours. What it proves is they have about as much knowledge as us as well at times. Like they have zero idea what's going on. Like, because when you pretty much shouting about, oh, there's nearly a here we go for Eze to Spurs, and this happens, it proves they actually don't know. They're just getting told some stuff like we are, right? So they know a hell of a lot more. They've got a hell of a lot more contacts. I'd hate to do that job. Actually, one of the worst jobs I can think of, really, because
especially with social
putting
media,
all of your reputation on the line, and it's just a horrible place, social media, right? So I wouldn't like to do that. But I do look at the scenario of the last couple of windows, and I think some of these guys have got very, very credible reputations, and they've really dropped some stinkers, man. Like they really have. So I think when you look at it, Arsenal right now, it proves that it was nonsense about PSR, which I always believed anyway, because I was told by Kieran Maguire, who knows more finances than me, that Arsenal were fine. I don't know what people are scared about. When we signed Madueke, everyone said, well, they will have to sell someone out if they want Eze. I'm like, Arsenal must be stupid if they have £52 million and they go, Madueke or Eze, can't have both. We'll go Madueke. So I'm like, that
and we
just
always
can't
told
be
the powder's dry.
So yeah, and I said, I'm happy with the Madueke signing if he's cover. I don't care that he costs 52 million. It doesn't bother me how much we spend. I'm not an accountant, right? But at the same time, if we've chosen Madueke over Eze or Rodrigo or both, I'll be really pissed.
There's
And we
hell to
haven't.
pay.
We haven't. So we brought Madueke in as cover. Calm. We need cover for Saka. Eze is going to be playing more left and central than right. So we've now got two players that have come in there, England internationals, that have both boosted our squad. So it's actually worked okay. But when you listen to the journalists, they're like, well, they've got to sell because they bought Madueke first. It's bollocks. It's absolute rubbish, isn't it? So we bought both of them now and haven't sold anybody. The other thing I'll say quickly is when people give it a 7 and 8 out of 10 window, that was Marino, Calafiori, and Sterling. That was 7 or 8 out of 10, right? So how can they say this is like a 7 or 8 out of 10 window last season? I'm thinking these guys are smoking something. That was a horrific window. It was one of the worst windows I've seen in the history of the club. And then January added on top of it was like a -1.
January the
How,
worst, even
how can
worse than
we
when we
say
only got check.
yeah, exactly. So it's no wonder that they're giving it a 10 or an 11 out of 10 now, these people that give it an 8 last window, because they can't go any higher. So my point is they clearly went too high and they're like, shit, I'll give that one an 8. I have to give this one a 10. So like that's where it is now. So for me, that's why this is a 7 out or 7 or an 8 out of 10 window is this window now, not the one bloody before. That was a bloody 4 or 5, I think I give it. Yeah. So
Lewis
this is
Skelly
where
took the
I'm at.
left back spot last year.
Yeah, man. We bring in a Rodrigo now. You can start shouting nines or whatever you want, in my opinion. That's an unbelievable window. And that's my opinion. Like people's opinions is like we could have signed Isak and nobody else, they would give it a 10. You know what I mean? We would have had just Isak and covered no other position. 10. We got the best striker in the Premier League. This is the problem. We've got to remain a little bit humble, man, and say, look, there's a lot of, if you put R11, it's very strong. There's at the moment, if everybody's fit, there's question marks about who starts at left back and who starts at left wing. That's the two question marks. You can look next season and say potentially, if we don't get a left winger this summer, we'll have to look at a left winger and a left back in the summer coming, like the next summer or January. And then you might have to look at backup striker if the injury to Havertz and Jesus is bad. But that's it. Everything else is done. You don't need 7 players you're going into next summer now. And this is why this summer's been good, because we've got the cover, we've got the player, we've got the marquee signings. Zubimendi, Gyökeres, Eze, I think they all walk into the first team. You can then
1,000,000%
debate
what
who
they
you want
should.
at left back. I think it's a good thing, man. Like I like where the squad is, and unfortunately, I hate saying it because people don't like me saying it, but he's put an unbelievable amount of pressure on himself now. The manager, unbelievable amount of pressure.
Let's touch on that because obviously, Bert has done his job. Again, I don't know where Arsenal fans are or where anyone else was, but fair enough. Many Arsenal fans couldn't picture Eze, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, the whole depth thing. I don't know if we'll bring somebody else in, but the hope that, if a couple dominoes fall in terms of outgoings, we can maybe get a Rodrigo or a Malik Fofana or something like that. And we can finally begin to have a long-term squad where kind of what you're saying, we don't need 6 or 7. We might become accustomed to like the caliber of Eze or better and things of that ilk. But then like, obviously, there was pressure before we signed anybody. There's obviously going to be pressure when you've got these players in, because people can go, you know what, when it's all said and done, Bert has been here since March. He's delivered. There's even more pressure. Like, how much pressure is there for us, in your opinion, to win the Premier League? And how much of a difference, in your opinion, does Eze make in relation to that?
Eze is an unbelievable signing for what we want to achieve. I mean, Igal, big up to Igal yesterday. I was with him,
Shout
and I
out
don't
Gal, man.
normally
He's had
like,
a blinder these
he
last few
has had a
days.
blinder, man. He has had a blinder. We need to give him praise because he gets enough stick. But I'm not really a stats man. Maybe the chat is, maybe you are, bro. But for every 100 touches in the Premier League, a shot and an assist has come off the back of those 100 touches of 5 players. Cole Palmer
That
is
don't
one.
sound good.
Yeah. Mo Salah is another. And then the other 3 players are Eze, Madueke, and Saka. So for every 100 touches those individuals get, they take the most shots and most assists in the Premier League. So they're brilliant. That's brilliant, right? And 3 of the players in the top 5 now play for Arsenal. There is no excuses now, because now it doesn't say they score off of every one of those shots, by the way, but they obviously, with the names and the caliber of those names, they do score quite often, right? Saka, Eze got good goals. Palmer and Salah we know about. That is a pretty impressive stat. So I think there has been some, stat DNA looked at into it. Yeah. I'm not really a lover of that. I don't really like that
Eye
because I
test.
think that can be, I do the eye test, but I also do what's up here. Like, this guy's got good
Common
stats
sense.
for this department, but what's he like mentally? So I always worry and question some of that. However, when the stats are looking at you there saying that these 5 players are the top in the Premier League for the most amount of shots taken and the most assists in the Premier League, that with already 100 touches, we've got 3 of them in the top 5. So there's no excuses this season. So the pressure's on. When you said how much pressure was on Mikel Arteta to win the Premier League, he's under pressure to win anything, mate. Like, he has
True.
to win something. Like, I know some people are saying it has to be the Prem. I take the champs over the Prem anyway. However,
Same.
they're the two that I think he probably has to win one of those two.
That
Um,
shuts a lot of people up, myself included.
Brother, if he wins the Champions League, no one can talk to us because we're already bigger than City and Chelsea. They just don't think that we are. Once we win the Champions League, it deads any argument about us being bigger than those two clubs. Not that it's about being, because we're never going to catch Liverpool and United unless we go and win like 15 leagues in a row, right? So when you look at it, I've got to look at the realistic chances. If I said to you right now, right, that's it, Mikel Arteta's got to win the Champions League or he's got to go. That's incredibly harsh. We've never won the Champions League, right, as a club. So I can't point the finger and say, you must win the Champions League. I can't look at him and say, you must win the Premier League, because Liverpool are an unbelievable side. Manchester City are back. They look good. What I can do is say, you have got the tools to win a trophy. Don't let me down. Because he's got to win one of them domestic cups and challenge to the end. He can't go
As a
win an FA
minimum.
Cup. Yeah, at a bare minimum. He can't go and win a Carabao Cup and come fifth. He can't go win an FA Cup and come fourth. He can't go and win, absolutely nothing. He's got to go and challenge to the last couple of games of the season with the team that wins the league, if he doesn't win it himself, and win either a Champions League or one of the domestic cups. That's the bare minimum, DG. I can't have any of this. Oh, when he comes second and we got to a final, not good enough. He's got to prove he can do this. Can he do that? And that's where I'm at. Can you get me across the line with this team? And I don't know that he can, man. I just don't know that he can. So he's got the tools now. There's no denying that this squad is good enough to win a trophy. Look, Matt Palace, Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea, Man United have all done it before him. Yeah, I know he's done it 5 years ago, but with this team, they've all managed to win it in the last couple of years before he has. So I need to see now him go, this team's good enough. I'm going to take every single competition seriously because I've got unbelievable depth. I've got Ethan Wanyeri and Max Dowman coming through with now Madueke on the bench. Martinelli and Trossard, one of those or both of those are going to be on the bench. Havertz, the guy I played for the striker for the last 2 years, is now my sub. Jesus, when he's fit. We've got Norgard and we've got Marino and we've got the likes of Mosquera and Timber and White that are fighting for places. Calafiori. This is a
We dreamed of this.
great backup, man. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I feel like now he has to take these seriously and get across the line, bruv.
I'm bang with you. I think City. I've said City and Liverpool are above us. I must admit, I'm not expecting Eze to be the Messiah, but a styling like Eze, maybe I'm still excited. But it makes me be a bit hypocritical and think, you know what, maybe the stars are aligning. I want to be easy with all of that. You made a great point. I think, it depends what video people sees from us, but you either get called positive, negative, balance. You're a Mikel Arteta sexual. You're a Mikel Arteta out brigade, top Gooner, bottom Gooner. I think when that's all said and done, everybody can understand. Yeah, it would be fair to say we in the last 2 years in the Champions League, we've got to the quarters and semis and had a good campaign. Didn't end how we wanted it to. Second probably was a false image because I think on average we were 7 points behind Liverpool, but we still finished second in our worst of the 3 years. And we've been flirting with it. We've had a year where we've ran it down to the last season. Everybody brings out all the defensive stats. We cry about goal scoring, but we're good for 90 to 100 goals. We're a problem from set pieces. And, I think we got more points at one point than the Invincibles, most points in the calendar year. These things are all great. And I'm not saying this to critique the team, but I do think people want to make their bed, but not lie in it. If you see all of these things and you rate what the manager's doing and you rate what the club's doing, because let's have it right, from when Arteta walked into where we are now, when it's all said and done, we are better. But we flirted with it. Now it's about shattering that glass ceiling. And Mikel Arteta knows this because he talks about trophies. And every player, even Saliba with the training session the other day, speaks about winning. And I think Arteta made a comment of he said something along the lines, Dan, of the manager that the team needed 4 years ago is very different to now. And we do hear that the pressure externally that all of us feel is very different internally, but there's no way around it. You have to have trophies. I think you made a fair point in that, you have to ideally win the Prem, because I think either the Prem or Champs just shuts up everyone, including rivals, but you have to make a good push at it. Even if it's a thing where you've got 99 points and the team above you's got 100, some would still want you gone, because there is that fair conversation that Arteta, you've been all right, but we need to shatter through that ceiling. When it's all said and done, we haven't seized the present, as everybody knows, really. And if that is the case, Arteta can leave with his head held high. You fixed up the club, someone else come in to get us over that line. As I was saying though, Dan, man, you made a good point about, You got a challenge at the very minimum in the Prem. Ideally, win that. We'd all love the champs. You have to win a domestic trophy. Now that's you because you're one of the more balanced kind of fans, right? But do you think, like, let's just say, boom, he's had a respectable finish, come second again, ole, all that crap. He's won a league cup or an FA Cup, if not both. Do you think that'd be enough to appease people? Like, he gets one more year, or is it a case of you've saved face or we're angry with you, but at the end of the day, you've got some level of silverware now?
I think you made a good point about the external and internal pressure, and I think that's the best way to answer this because I genuinely do not think that's aligned. I think that Mikel Arteta could go a season without a trophy and finish top four and keep his job with the Cronkies.
Same.
I believe that. I truly do believe you're bang on there, and I think that's a worry, which is why my kind of question mark is now with the ownership, not the manager. I've had enough questioning the manager. The manager keeps proving that he can't get across the line, right? So I'm kind of done with, is he right? Is he not right? Like, he can try and keep proving us wrong. But in my opinion, I do think that there's something wrong there, a stumbling block in
Until
terms
he
of
shows
mentality.
different.
Precisely. Until he can prove it. I hope he goes and wins a quadruple, mate. Do you know what I mean? This ain't about being right or wrong. This is about Arsenal being successful, right? So
Facts.
for me, when I look at what Arteta could do at Arsenal, you said to me now, what would you like him to do? I'm not going to say, oh, I hope he fails. We get Enrique in. Oh, well, give me the quadruple, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I want. So I think when you look at it now, the Cronkies have proven that he doesn't have to win something to keep his job. He just has to compete and challenge. And that is why the ownership are essentially the biggest problem at the club in terms of the lack of ambition. Now, I'm absolutely with you in terms of look at what they've
Facts.
spent. It's not that they don't spend money. It's not that they haven't been interested in spending money or
That's
allowing it
what
to
they
be spent.
enable in the culture.
Precise. And look, if I said to you, DG, right, I'm just going to take over this football club. I've got £1 billion. I'm going to spend 600 million on this team. And I give the people that have no idea about football £600 million, and they go and spend 150 on Maguire, 250 on Johnny Evans, 350 million. Then I'm going to be. Then who's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I've spent the money. Yeah, but you've given it to a moron who's gone and spent it on ridiculous money. That's the scenario of the Cronkies, in my opinion, which is why we've had players like Mustafi here, etc. Right? I won't go into the list because there's a long list of them.
PTSD,
So,
man.
yeah, so the owners have got the lack of ambition, which is why I think essentially they're the biggest problem. Where I think they've done something different this season is they've gone, look, we're going to hold our hands up and say that we haven't got a bloody clue. However, I think you might, Andrea Berta. So you now take the wheel alongside Mikel and help what he needs. Now, I don't think Andrea Berta has signed all 7 of those. I think Mikel Arteta has had a massive say in quite
Clearly,
a lot.
Madueke.
Yeah. Madueke, Zubamendi. I think the only ones that you can put and steer towards Andrea Berta would be Eze, because he clearly swooped in when Levy was mucking around. Gyökeres, without a doubt, because Sesko was wanted by Arteta. And Mosquera, because he's been highlighted in the Liga by Andrea Berta, clearly. I think the others, Norgard sounded like Arteta, Madueke sounded like Arteta, and Zubamendi was Arteta because
So
we
they're
wanted him
clearly
before
working
Berta
together.
even coming, right? So I think they've done half and half, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those players now and judging them. I think we've still got to see them a lot more, by the way. I mean, I like what I see from Zubamendi. Mosquera's impressed in his glimpses. Obviously, Norgard had good and bad games. Kepa likewise. You've got Madueke, who's not really settled in yet. Neither is Gyökeres. So I think it would be interesting to see how Eze fits into the mould and where he plays too. But I think no matter who you are as a football fan, whether you support Arsenal or not, there is not one Arsenal fan or football fan that says to me, Arteta, he doesn't have to win anything, by the way, because he's still top quality. He's still
And
the
you're
guy
playing
that
some good
can
football
stay here
again.
for 5-6 years. Doesn't matter in 5-6 years if Arsenal's still not won something. He's done a brilliant job. And from 8th to 2nd, I think he deserves a statue and we should give him a 10-year contract. There's nobody that says that, right? They all say he's got to win. And that's right. Football's about winning trophies, man. It's not about
At least for
competing.
us at this moment now. We've done everything else.
Facts. And the fans have got to look at themselves because across a 2-decade period, we've hounded out the most successful manager, told Unai Emery, get out, you're no good for coming 8th. And in the same period of time, have said, well, he got to a cup final and got us 1 point off a 4th. Arsene Wenger's 22 years of Arsenal has been the most successful in history. And we're still trying to get into our first trophy under this guy with this team. We got to keep the same standards, in my opinion. And I think the last 5 years of Wenger were more
Because
successful
we're
than
so
Arteta's
close
first
as well.
time. We are, and that's if we were like nowhere near, I think people would just be like, "What's he doing here? Like, what they doing? He's trying, bless him, but he ain't good enough." This guy is so close. This team is so close. That's made it more frustrating for me. Is that like
Because we
we're
flirted
not
with
even
it,
across
man.
the line?
We've flirted with it. You look at City, you look at the second place finishes, you look at the year-on-year improvements in the Champions League, you look at even not last season, the season before, the run-in towards the end when we lost it on the last day. We're flirting with it. And we do talk a lot about fine margins. That's actually why I like Zubamendi, because I remember when we was in either Singapore or Hong Kong, he had an interview and he said, yeah, this club needs to learn about the fine margins. It's about time to deliver. So if the managers are saying it, the players are saying it, who are we? And if anything, the only people that deserve this more than the fans are the players, because they're the ones riding the highs and lows, and I will give them that. They do pick themselves up again and again, but at some point the mental fatigue is going to set in. And maybe for Mikel Arteta and for the players, sorry, you might have to try something else. At some point, we can't keep doing the same things. And for me, I've got a lot of love for you, Mikel Arteta, for what you've done, but I love my club the most. And I feel if you rate Mikel Arteta, everything that me and Dan have been saying, I think these are valid claims. And I also feel, respectfully to him, if you was Arsene Wenger or Klopp or one of these Jose, one of these guys, I could understand the small sections of fans that have that kind of blind loyalty, but you haven't earned that credit in the bank. Simply put, I guess what I'm saying is, because I rate you, you need to do something. I do want to ask you something else, Dan, but I've left your super chat Kyle Gunner up for a while. Appreciate that, man. Make sure you're subscribed to Dan Potts. I can't imagine you're not. Eze is the signing that makes me believe we have a real chance at winning a major. I hope so. Whether Paul gets Isaac or not, another left winger